2, 3, 4, bust it. Remix, whack, juvenile. Standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners, adopted by the first United Nations Congress on the Prevention of Crime and the Treatment of Offenders, held at Geneva in 1955 and approved by the Economic and Social Council by its Resolution 663. See Article 24 of 31st July 1957 and 2076 Article 32 of 13 May 1977. Preliminary observations. The following rules are not intended to describe in detail a model system of penal institutions. In view of the great variety of legal, social, economic, and geographical conditions of the world, it is evident that not all of the rules are capable of application in all places and at all times. They should, however, serve to stimulate a constant endeavor to overcome practical difficulties in the way of their application, and the knowledge that they represent as a whole the minimal conditions which are accepted as suitable by the United Nations. Part 1 of the rules cover the general management of institutions and is applicable to all categories of prisoners, criminal or civil, untried or convicted, including prisoners subject to security measures or corrective measures ordered by the judge. Part 2 contains rules applicable only to the special categories dealt with in each section. Nevertheless, the rules under Section A applicable to prisoners under sentence shall be equally applicable to categories of prisoners dealt with in Section B, C, and D, provided they do not conflict with the rules governing those categories and are for their benefit. Part 1 rules of general application. The basic principle. 6.1. The following rules shall be applied impartially. There shall be no discrimination on grounds of race, color, sex, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, or other status. 6.2. On the other hand, it is necessary to respect the religious beliefs and moral precepts of the group to which a prisoner belongs. Register. Information to and complaints by prisoners. 35. Sub 2. If a prisoner is illiterate, the aforesaid information shall be conveyed to him early. Religion, 41 sub 1. If the institution contains a sufficient number of prisoners of the same religion, a qualified representative of that religion shall be appointed or approved if the number of prisoners justifies it and conditions permit. The arrangement should be on a full-time basis. 41 sub 2. A qualified representative appointed or approved under paragraph sub 1 shall be allowed to hold regular services and to pay pastoral visits in private to prisoners of his religion at proper times. 41 sub 3. Access to a qualified representative of any religion shall not be refused to any prisoner. On the other hand, if any prisoner should object to a visit of any religious representative, his attitude shall be fully respected. 42. So far as practicable, every prisoner shall be allowed to satisfy the needs of his religious life by attending the service provided in the institution and having his possession the books of religious observance and instruction of his denomination. Retention of prisoners' property. 43 sub 3. Any money or effects received for a prisoner from outside shall be treated in the same way. 43 sub 4. If a prisoner brings in any drugs or medicine, the medical officer shall decide what use shall be made of it. 47 sub 1. The personnel shall possess an adequate standard of education and intelligence. 47 sub 2. Before entering on duty, the personnel shall be given a course of training in their general aspects should be administered, and the purpose at which they aim, in accordance with the declaration made under preliminary observation 1 of the present text. 57. Imprisonment and other measures which result in cutting off an offender from the outside world are afflictive by the very fact of taking from the person the right of self-determination, by depriving him of his liberty. Therefore, the prison system shall not accept as incidental to justifiable segregation or the maintenance of discipline aggravate the suffering inherent in such a situation. 58. The purpose and justification of a sentence of imprisonment or a similar measure deprivative of liberty is ultimately to protect society against crime. This can only be achieved if the period of imprisonment is used to ensure, so far as possible, that upon his return to society, the offender is not only willing but able to lead a law-abiding and self-supporting life. 59. To this end, the institution should utilize all the criminal, educational, moral, spiritual, and other forces and forms of assistance which are appropriate and available, and should seek to apply them according to the individual treatment needs of the prisoners. 61. The regime of the institution should seek to minimize any differences between prison life and life at liberty, which tend to lessen the responsibility of the prisoners or the respect due to their dignity as human beings. 62. Before the completion of the sentence, it is desirable that the necessary steps be taken to ensure for the prisoner a gradual return to life in society. This aim may be achieved, depending on the case, by pre-release regime organized in the same institution or in another appropriate institution, or by release on trial under some kind of supervision, which must not be entrusted to the police, but should be combined with effective social aid. 61. The treatment of prisoners should emphasize not their exclusion from the community, but their continuing part in it. Community agencies should therefore be enlisted wherever possible to assist the staff of the institution in the task of social rehabilitation of the prisoners. There should be, in connection with every institution, social workers charged with the duty of maintaining and improving all desirable relations of a prisoner with his family and with valuable social agencies. Steps should be taken to safeguard to the maximum extent compatible with the law and the census the rights relating to civil interests, social security rights, and other social benefits of prisoners. 62. The medical services of the institution shall seek to detect and shall treat any physical or mental illnesses or defects which may hamper a prisoner's rehabilitation. All necessary medical, surgical, and psychiatric services shall be provided to that end. 63 sub 1. The fulfillment of these principles require individualization of treatment, and for this purpose, a flexible system of classifying prisoners in groups. It is therefore desirable that such groups should be distributed in separate institutions suitable for the treatment of each group. 63 sub 2. These institutions need not provide the same degree of security for every group. It is desirable to provide varying degrees of security according to the needs of different groups. Open institutions, by the very fact that they provide no physical security against escape, but rely on the self-discipline of the inmates, provide the conditions most favorable to rehabilitation for carefully selected prisoners. 64. The duty of society does not end with a prisoner's release. There should therefore be governmental or private agencies capable of lending the released prisoner efficient aftercare directed towards the lessening of prejudice against him and towards his social rehabilitation. Clarification and individualization 67. The purpose of classification should be to separate from others those prisoners who, by reason of their criminal record or bad characters, are likely to exercise a bad influence. 67 subparagraph B. To divide the prisoners into classes in order to facilitate their treatment with a view to their social rehabilitation. 68. So far as possible, separate institutions or separate sections of an institution shall be used for the treatment of the different classes of prisoners. 69. As soon as possible, after admission and after a study of the personality of each prisoner, with a sentence of suitable length, a programming of treatment shall be prepared for him in the light of the knowledge obtained about his individual needs, his capacities, and dispositions. Privileges 70. Systems of privileges appropriate for the different classes of prisoners and the different methods of treatment shall be established at every institution in order to encourage good conduct, develop a sense of responsibility, and secure the interest and cooperation of the prisoners in their treatment. Social relations and aftercare 81 sub 1. Services and agencies, governmental or otherwise, which assist released prisoners to re-establish themselves in society shall ensure, so far as is possible and necessary, that released prisoners be provided with appropriate documents and identification papers, have suitable homes and work to go to, are suitably and adequately clothed, having regard to the climate and season, and have sufficient means to reach their destination and maintain themselves in the period immediately following their release. 81 sub 2. The approved representatives of such agencies shall have all necessary access to the institution and to prisoners, and shall be taken into consultation as to the future of a prisoner from the beginning of his sentence. sub 1. Untried prisoners shall be kept separate from convicted prisoners. 86. Untried prisoners shall sleep singly in separate rooms, with the reservation of different local custom in respect of the climate. 88 sub 1. An untried prisoner shall be allowed to wear his own clothing if it is clean and suitable. 88 sub 2. If he wears prison dress, it shall be different from that supplied to convicted prisoners. Defense DOD instruction 1035.01 telework policy. Principal purposes. Information is collected to register individuals as participants in the DoD Alternative Workplace program to manage and document the duties of participants and to fund, evaluate, and report on program activity. The records may be used by information technology offices. 2. Determine equipment needs. To ensure appropriate safeguards are in place to protect government information and for assessing and managing technological risks and vulnerabilities. Disclosure voluntary. However, failure to provide the requested information may result in your inability to be a participant in the telework program. Teleworkers may be required to return to the regular work site or schedule telework days based on operational requirements in situations where the employee is called to return to the office outside normal work hours. The recall shall be handled in accordance with established policy and or collective bargaining agreements, if applicable. If the employee uses government furnished equipment GFE, the employee will use and protect the equipment in accordance with the DoD component procedures. GFE will be serviced and maintained by the government. The employee agrees to comply with the terms of computer software license and copyright agreements, computer virus and protection requirements and procedures. No classified documents, hard copy or electronic, may be taken to or created at an employee's alternative work site. If classified telework is authorized at an approved alternative secure location, teleworkers must comply with the procedures established by DoD 5200.01-R and the DoD component regarding such work. For official use only and control unclassified information, data may be taken to alternative work sites if necessary. Precautions are taken to protect the data, consistent with DoD regulations. The supervisor will determine how frequently, if at all, backup copies of data onto network drives or removable disks must be made to protect loss of data. The supervisor may also require the employee to periodically send backup copies to the main work facility. Nomination form. Nomination for regional course for the Female Senior Police Officer Command Development Course by Lion State Appear Brazil. Family name. Applications are to be authorized by the applicant's authorities, certifying that the nominated female police command officer fulfills the following criteria: the commitment to be nominated by their respective country for a command position in a United Nations peace operation, the commitment for the person to deploy to a United Nations peace operation if selected, minimum rank of lieutenant colonel or equivalent, minimum of 7 years police experience, previous command experience, minimum of a bachelor's degree, easily read, speak, understand, and write in English, graduation from a certified police academy or similar law enforcement training institution. Checklist for the nomination packet. Nomination form: personal history profile, PHP, employment and academic accreditation, HR mini master registration for a copy of passport photo. Please note that incomplete documents will not be accepted. Ms. Leah Biason, Gender Affairs Officer, Strategy Policy and Development Section, Police Division, ROLSI, DPKO, United Nations, 1 United Nations Plaza, New York 10017, USA. Email biason@un.org with copies to Ms. Fayola A.O. Atkins. Team Assistants with copy to Ms. Fayola A.O. Atkins, Team Assistant, United Nations Police Division, OROLSI, Department of Peacekeeping Operations, United Nations, New York 10017. Email atkinsf@un.org. Ms. Mary Sharif, Team Assistant, Strategy Policy and Development Section, Police Division, OROLSI, DPKO, United Nations, 1 United Nations Plaza, DC 1-0538, New York 10017, USA. Email sharif9@un.org. United Nations Department of Peacekeeping Operations, Department of Field Support Guidelines. The role of United Nations Police in protection of civilians. Review date: 1st August 2020. DPKO DFS guidelines on the role of United Nations Police in protection of civilians. While protection is a central policing task in domestic settings, circumstances are quite different in the context of a UN peace operation. More often than not, UN police do not have the same authority, resources, or backup that they would at home. Tasks to implement the mandate will differ from policing in a domestic setting, including capacity building, working with vulnerable groups or self-protection, and working across civilian, military, and police components, and peacekeeping. Physical threats to civilians may emanate from sources of a military, paramilitary, criminal, political, ideological, or other nature. The scale and variety of crime and violence are often more severe in host state police and other law enforcement agencies may be more militarized, less able to address said crime and violence, or in some circumstances may be the source of violations themselves. In some areas, elements in the security forces, serious and organized crime, groups and violent extremists may use violence against civilians as a tactic. In certain contexts, such threats may be further aggravated by the blurring of lines and collaboration among transnational criminal networks, extremist groups, political actors, or some combination thereof. UN police may not speak the local language, the territory under their responsibility, and under their responsibility is vast and unfamiliar, and the infrastructure may be poor. Therefore, these guidelines are important to manage expectations and to attempt to outline how UN police can and cannot contribute to POC in a United Nations peace operation. The guidelines also describe where close collaboration with civilian and military components is critical. Protection of civilians by UN police. D1. The protection of civilians and United Nations peacekeeping is defined as all necessary means up to and including the use of deadly force aimed at preventing or responding to threats of physical violence against civilians within capabilities and areas of operation, and without prejudice to the responsibility of the host governments. UN police promote, protect, and respect human rights in all aspects of their activities. UN police shall respect and comply with human rights standards, international humanitarian and refugee law, and UN criminal justice norms, and supporting host state police. UN police must adhere to the UN Human Rights Due Diligence Policy, HRDDP, and observe the steps to be taken by UN entities to providing support to non-UN security forces. This aims of the HRDDP are to secure the representation of the UN, avoid situations in which the UN would be inadvertently aiding and abetting, or otherwise be complicit in the commission of grave violations of international humanitarian human rights or refugee law by recipients of its supports. The policy further seeks to ensure that support helps recipients progress to a stage where compliance with these bodies of law becomes the norm. A robust application of the HRDDP to capacity building efforts by UN police, including a target informed implementation of mitigating measures, will assist in assuring that the mission supported development of host state police contributes to the long term protection of the civilian population. Properly applied, the HRDDP provides the UN police with leverage to effect positive change and behavior of the host state police and law enforcement services, and can thereby enhance the protection of civilians. UN police respect and promote the primary responsibility of host governments to protect civilians. The host state retains the primary responsibility to protect civilians, and UN police should support the protection efforts of their interlocutors and host state police in full compliance with the HRDDP. The role of UN police includes advice and support to host state police with an emphasis on prevention, where UN police also have a critical role to play in strengthening the capacity and willingness of host state police and other law enforcement agencies to protect civilians. UN police have a active duty to protect. Although the host state has the primary responsibility for protecting civilians, in cases where the government is unable, unwilling, or otherwise failing to do so, UN police and missions with PRC mandates have both the authority and obligation to act independently to protect civilians under threat of physical violence, irrespective of the source of the threats, including through use of force. Moreover, UN police should work to analyze threats, prevent, preempt, and respond to violence against civilians. This can be done through presence in areas under greatest threats, a credible deterrent posture, and the use of force and or detention in accordance with the applicable directives on detention, searches, and use of force, DUF. This applies to both IPOs and FPUs, while some risk is inherent to UN police work and crisis situations, and police must embrace its duty to protect. UN police should not place themselves or others and unreasonable danger. UN police pursue a comprehensive role of mission, approach, and participate actively in planning, information sharing, and coordination.
American states to focus on people's urges. We know how to build effective partnerships to dismantle terrorist networks by targeting their financing and support systems, countering their propaganda, preventing their travel, as well as disrupting imminent attacks. We'll meet terrorist threats that arise today and in the future with a full range of tools available to us, including working in cooperation with local partners so that we need not be so reliant on large-scale military deployments. One of the most important ways we can effectively enhance security and reduce violence is by seeking to improve the lives of the people all over the world who see that their governments are not serving their needs. Corruption fuels inequality, siphons off the nation's resources, spreads across borders, and generates human suffering. It's nothing less than a national security threat in the 21st century.
All right, that's what I need y'all to do. Y'all good? Everybody good? Yeah, we're leaving anyway. Yeah, we're going anyway. I just need y'all to be there. Okay, we were leaving anyway. Thank you. Yeah, we were just interviewing, checking out what was going on. Thank you. Crime scene. I'm not leaving. Thank you. Mr. Kenny Collins. Get him to leave there. Get him to leave there. Yeah, you know what's him? Hey, who's there? You say him? Everybody needs to leave there. Y'all don't have a protest. Leave there. We're not protesting. Y'all don't have a parade permit to occupy the street. We're not protesting. Y'all got about 3 minutes to leave. We just need you to do your job. You know where the public roadway stay? 3 minutes. You start that count right now, y'all. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You start that count right now. You just blocked the street. You blocking the street. Now you blocking the street. Shut up. What happened when you came out there the first time you told him he was going to get justice? It's been 6 months. You still ain't getting no justice. No evidence. Turn it over to what you gonna do? We know. Yeah, you. What you gonna do? You don't want to do? Police department. Why you ain't arrested me? Why you ain't? What are you gonna do? You gonna run your ass out here? Make me. Here you go. We got you. We got you going live. We got you going. We got everybody. We got everybody. We gonna see you. We ain't nobody's people. We our own people. Yeah, we definitely ain't your people. We definitely not y'all. We can be on the coon and all our uniform. What's considered public roadway and what's not? This a public roadway. This a public roadway. We already got this. Here you go. Keep going. That's in where you go. You can't block. So let me ask you. So we got blocking traffic. We got blocking traffic. I know the law. Let him keep talking. Let him keep talking. So, Clean Earl over there chasing people. And he didn't say nothing. One person talk. I'm asking a question. In most places you have a sidewalk. So people can assemble peacefully on the sidewalk. Where the sidewalk at? So y'all got to so leave that. Well, that's all we ask y'all to do. Okay? We're not. We're on the sidewalk. Yeah, that's all we ask. But where would the sidewalk be at? 6 months and still no justice. 6 months and still no justice. Everybody think it's funny. 6 months. You protecting them, go arrest them. Y'all ain't investigating shit. Ain't doing shit. Where's D-Mon? You a whole clown. Tell you to your face, you a whole clown. You a whole clown. Now, try to arrest me, you ain't gonna find nothing. Let's go. Where's your car? Justice! No peace! Justice! No peace! No peace! No peace! No peace! house niggas out here. Be tough.
All of them.
Go be tough with them racists.
Don't be tough with them.
Go be tough with them, bro.
Just roll away.
That's what we can and can't do violate our rights.
Right. We know our rights. We beat it.
All power to the people!
All power to the people!
No justice! No peace! 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 No justice! No peace!
That's no crime right here.
First Amendment. If they want to peacefully assemble, where could they do that?
We good. You know what we good. So we good. So we good.
If they're over here in the
So we
grass,
good. He just said we was good. The sheriff is the law. The sheriff just said we was good. This is